What if the iCarly like theme song just started playing? You guys remember iCarly?
I mean,
I know iCarly, but I don't
I never really
ever knew they even
watched
had a theme
it,
song.
but
I think the start of that show, or like the intro, was the main character, like their cameraman, going, "All right, 3, 2, 1, go," and then like the theme song would start playing.
do they do that in the reboot that they just did on Paramount Plus?
I think they do.
Huh.
I'm not too certain, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Does she have a podcast in the reboot? That would feel very relevant to this era. Or is she still doing like webcam?
No, yeah, she's still doing like live streams.
Oh, I guess they're
Very,
always live streams.
yeah, very ahead of its. I mean, it was always live streams in the
That's
original.
true.
Very ahead of its time.
Very much so. Little did it. True origin story of Twitch right there, ladies and gentlemen. iCarly. Not just in TV, as most people think. It was actually iCarly.
Why didn't you watch it, Jason?
Yeah.
It literally seems right up your alley.
I don't know, actually. I think I was a little too old. Like, I did like all that when I was a little younger, and I was super into that, and like some of the spin-off shows of that, like Kenan
All
and
that
Kel.
what?
Well, the show All That, and Kenan and Kel, but like iCarly was like half a decade later, a little out of my wheelhouse, a little out of my age range, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was a little. Well, were you?
I don't
a
know,
Nickelodeon person?
because-
I think we've talked about this, but were you
'cause I
guys
had-
Nickelodeon people, Disney people, or Cartoon Network?
I mean, I had roommates in college that watched iCarly and a couple of those other shows.
I moved on to
and
TRL
and they're
at
your
that
age.
point,
If,
I think.
well, I guess those couple months made a difference in age difference. So
Or just where your attention. I mean, I pivoted hard to like Pokemon for a while. To answer your question, Kevin, first of all, should we say who
What?
we are? To answer your question, Kevin, as I said, first of all, should we say who we are? For everyone else, I'm Jason. Hi.
I was going to get to it, but
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It's not like I'm hosting or anything.
Sorry.
You can go ahead. Go ahead. You could take the wheel.
Oh, really? Okay.
Go for it.
Hi.
You've already ruined my shtick.
Welcome to Randomer Nintendo number 21. I'm Jason. Next to me is Kevin somewhere.
Yo.
And next to me...
Previous host of this episode.
and next to me somewhere else is someone who is never host of this episode, Angel.
Hello.
But to answer your question, Kevin, from a minute ago, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network kid, a little of both. I like Cartoon Fridays a lot. I like that block of shows, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, all that. But I also liked a lot of the live-action Nick stuff. Disney Channel is probably, except for reruns of Growing Pains randomly, Disney Channel is probably the least of the three that I watched. What about you guys?
I was very much a what's it called? I was very much a Disney Channel kid.
What was your go-to show?
Everything pretty much. I think the biggest one was probably like Lizzie McGuire.
Okay, yeah. Were you into Even Stevens before Shia became...
I was into Even Stevens.
And then Shia went on to all sorts of things. And then not so many things. What about you, Angel? What was your station of choice, TV channel choice?
Like growing up or like in general?
Yeah, growing up. Like what were you when you were a kid? Did you turn on Cartoon Network first, Nickelodeon first, Disney first? One of the locals like Kids WB or Fox or something?
It was always Channel 5 or Channel 11. Fox Kids or whatever the Channel 5 block was called.
Actually, I have no idea because as a child I did not have the same Channel 11 as you because I didn't live here.
So. Yeah, I mean wherever Pokemon and Warner
Kids
Brother,
WB.
Kids WB. Yeah, the WB stuff. Those two were the main ones. When we did do anything cable related, I guess it was mainly Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, but it was really just the animated stuff. Like if it was live action, we 100% ignored it. All that, maybe sometimes every once in a while, but for the most part, yeah. Be it Disney, Nick, or be it Disney or Nick, we didn't really watch anything live action.
Well,
so no Even Stevens, no Amanda Bynes show. We were aware of them, but didn't watch anything.
Not that we're sponsored by the fine folks at Max, formerly HBO Max, but actually I don't know if it's Max themselves, but little tidbits since we're talking about these class channels. Apparently Cartoon Network from like 6 to 8 p.m. starting in August will be doing what they call our checkered past and will be running back all the cartoons from when we were kids, like the Cartoon Friday block. So all the Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girl, like all that is going to be Cow and Chicken is all going to be like back nightly on Cartoon Network soon, which is kind of cool, actually.
I haven't watched live TV in probably well over 10 years.
I do appointment viewing, but yeah, I don't often, unless it's like a live event like an award show or something, I don't usually watch TV. That's actually a really good point. Do you still, Angel?
No, definitely not. Just, stuff online. at nighttime.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all cord cutters here, I guess.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, people that don't have like a cable subscription or don't use traditional TV, yeah, or do like linear TV viewing on a regular basis. Yep. We are the bane of every cable executive, essentially. But we also, wait, Kevin, am I really hosting this? Do you want to take it back? What?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say we also haven't talked to one another on a recording in quite a while, and I feel like a lot has happened. We had multiple major movies that came out. We had multiple major game events that occurred. And I feel like we collectively came to the decision that there's no easy way to structure this episode until Kevin had a great idea. So I'm going to kick it back to you, Kevin, who was hosting, because you are the man with the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah, we did this a while ago. We just had way too much to talk about. We did, what was it called?
I think we just called it Roulette at the time.
We just spun the wheel with all the topics that we had, because it's been a while since we recorded an episode, about a year and some change at this point. A year. A month and some change.
It's been a month. We're not that. Man, can you imagine if we had to recap a whole year? Ooh.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
But yeah, I guess we could call it the randomer roulette now that our name has randomer. Oh, actually, you know what's fitting? This is episode 21. Roulette, gambling. We're of legal age to gamble. The show can gamble now, so we have a roulette wheel. It makes sense. Look at that. How serendipitous.
Gamble responsibly, folks.
Yes, always gamble responsibly. And should you feel you have an addiction, there are helplines you can call. But hopefully you're not taking bets on what's on this wheel, because I don't even know how you would bet, because you don't know what's on the list, but we do. Do we want to just jump in?
What
are you saying?
And then, don't be discouraged. The statistic, 99% of people who stop gambling right before they hit it, they stop gambling right before they hit it big. So,
Yeah. Don't do that one more pull.
Or maybe
do it. No, we do not condone such behavior.
Just make that last one your last one.
Until you have another last one.
Yeah, just make that one your last one.
Until there's another last one. Yeah. What is your gambling game of choice? Before we spin the wheel, do you guys have a vice of choice in the gambling world? Do you have a particular game, a particular thing that if you were to gamble and hopefully not form an addiction, you would gravitate towards?
I guess it would be roulette. I don't currently have one, but I guess if it were to be one, I could see that one being it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess unless you're just considering like any game where you say the words just one more. I mean, I guess at one point it definitely was Hearthstone.
Okay, well that's not. Well, okay, sure. You put money into booster pack. Okay, yeah.
Marvel Snap is currently it for me.
I mean, it's also. I mean, you can also argue I'm like betting more time on it, thinking that time is going to be invested into climbing ranks when sometimes I end up at a lower rank.
I'm just going to point out, if you go to a Vegas tycoon and you're like, listen, my gambling vice is Hearthstone because I bet my time, he would be like, that's not gambling. You're not betting money, you're betting time. But I see.
Hey, which is straight up life.
Fair. I will say, if I had to pick one, there is in Resort World in Vegas, there is a crane game, like when you were a kid. Like the crane game with the stuffed animals or whatever, but instead of it being stuffed animals, they are plastic balls with fake cash in them. But then when it drops down, you get real cash. So that's dangerous. But I did win $5 on it, so that's my never mind poker. It's all about that one crane game machine smack in the middle of the casino with nothing around it. Anyway, Kevin, do you want to spin the wheel? Should we launch into our multitude of topics here, ranging from shows to movies to games to VR headsets that project your eyes through them?
Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead. It's everybody at the same time. We have to say spin that wheel.
Spin that wheel or spin the wheel?
Spin that wheel.
Okay.
Spin that wheel.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. No, on three. All right?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Spin that wheel. Wow,
that's going to be a nightmare to synchronize.
Good luck, Kevin.
All right.
Oh, we forgot to get a wheel sound.
We are landing first on Apple Vision Pro.
What?
The
Apple Vision Pro.
Oh, I thought the wheel. I didn't. I thought the wheel sucked you in. You just kind of your sound warped. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
I thought it was like the wheel became a black hole, and it's really what's destroying us all. Much like gambling, if you let the addiction get to you. So don't get addicted. Apple Vision Pro. That's what came up first.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we're going all the way back in time here. So yeah, who watched that Apple presentation for WWDC in first week of June, a couple weeks ago?
I
Not
watched
I
parts
said
of
the
it.
referee, don't point your finger at me. You guys know that song? That Bob Dylan song?
I'm going to
Don't
say
kill Davey
yes
Moore.
so you don't feel bad. Yes, but no.
I think the lyrics go something like that. But
But
no,
you
I
have to
just
sing
can't.
it like Bob Dylan. You have to do the like, hey, hey thing. Like you can't just,
Oh,
you
no,
can't
I
just sing it
can't.
like normal. But okay, so you did, but do you know about the Vision Pro at all? Have you seen anything about it?
I've only seen the meme photos of it.
Okay, so those are pretty accurate. I kind of want to talk about because we, as a collective of tech enthusiast gamers who have talked about PlayStation VR and things like this on the show before, it's very interesting to watch Apple do a press conference. They're like, oh, here's the new iOS. And like, oh, you can make a custom like profile for when you call someone. And like, here's the watch. All the apps that have black backgrounds have colors. Check that out. And also over here, we have the most dystopian thing in the world you've ever seen because we're going to put a helmet on your face, but then we're going to show your eyes through the helmet. And then other people can see your eyes, but we're going to cloud them when you're doing stuff. And the guy looks slightly faded and it's going to be really creepy. And you're going to stand 2 feet from your child when it's their birthday and they're eating cake, and you're going to take a picture using your virtual eyes with your helmet, and that's going to be a totally normal thing. And it was very hard to swallow that pill when I was watching that presentation. So I guess for those who haven't, that are listening who somehow don't know about this, Apple, as they tend to do, is entering the AR, VR headset game later than others, but much more polished than others. So they have what all impressions are saying is the nicest in-headset screen you'll ever see, or that you've seen to date. It's like 4K for each eye. It has like a really nice UI. It has hand tracking that works super well. There's like 9 cameras on this thing or something. But you just kind of you can have your hands at your side, just pinch to activate things. You can just kind of swipe to scroll, and it has eye tracking. And technology-wise, it's, what Apple does. They come in late, but they're killing it. What's interesting to me is they think they solved the problem of you're in a headset and you can't interact with the real world, and you're not going to wear a headset all the time by addressing 2 things. One is there's pass-through on it. So, and this is the MetaQuest does as well, but at a lower resolution. But basically, you have a live video feed of what's going on beyond you. And Apple's like, oh, well, you should be able to adjust how much of the real world you want to see. There's a little digital crown like on your watch, on your Apple Watch if you have one, that if you turn will make more or less of the reality around you be visible. So like you could turn it down and like it'll literally fade away at the sides. You like turn it up and it'll like fade back in. If someone comes in to talk to you, this is a little kind of cool tech, but kind of creepy. If someone comes in to talk to you, they'll like, it will sense there's a real person in front of you and they'll like literally interrupt your virtual space. So it'll like cut them. It'll be like a kind of, I don't want to call it like a blob, but there'll be like a aura around this person who comes in with a little hint of the world around them, kind of interrupting whatever you're doing. A lot of stuff is transparent. So that's one way to kind of like keep you connected to the real world. But then there's this eye thing. And I've just been watching the new season of Black Mirror, which was, kind of like a couple weeks after this. And it's just like the dystopian vibes of this eye thing. So yeah, if you want someone to know what you're doing, they're having it where your eyes are shown to the outside person using cameras that are tracking your eyes inside the helmet. And they're like kind of faded out, like the screen's kind of set back, so it almost looks like they're really your eyes. But then if you're doing something in VR, they'll put like kind of the Siri colorful like cloud animation on top of it. And it'll look like you're like basically tripping on mushrooms or something inside your little helmet to the person outside it. But you're like in your own little world, and it signals to them, hey, this person like shouldn't be interrupted. And they just carry on. And it feels like both a really clever solution to a very common issue with VR headsets, like how you get people to want to wear these things for long. Like if anyone's listened to the podcast back when we were around Nintendo, one of the things I think we talked about a lot was like if you ever want to have VR really succeed and be like a mainstream thing, it needs to be light. It needs to be something that isn't going to bother you on your head, and it needs to let you still get your snacks, still check your phone, still do whatever. Like you need to be able to interact beyond it. You need to have social experiences, and this kind of does that in the most like over-engineered, crazy way. And it's just really interesting to watch the demo of it and them showing like how, they're addressing these pain points that have existed. And they're addressing them in very Apple ways by being like, well, we're just going to cram all sorts of crazy technology that you haven't really used in this way into this device. But it just keeps popping in my head, this clip, and I know I already evoked it or referenced it. Like, there's a guy celebrating his kid's birthday, and he wants to get a picture of his kid on the floor with the cake, and he's wearing the headset, and he wants a 3D picture. So what does he do? He like comes into the kid's face with this headset on, with his fake eyes beaming through, and just like is like staring at him, like having this human moment with this child. but it's not really a human moment because the kid's watching a screen projection of his dad's eyes on a thing on his face. And it's just like, I don't know. It's usually I see an Apple product and sometimes be like, oh, I don't know if that's right for me. But that moment I was like, is technology going too far? Are we like, is this the beginning of the end for society, for humanity? Like, it was just so weird to see. I don't know. Like, Kevin, you said you saw memes and Angel, what do you guys make of this thing? Does it make sense to you? Does it seem a little like proof of concept that maybe in the future they scale down so you're not having a screen on your face or just like a normal pair of glasses one day and this is just the first pass? Like, what do you guys make of this thing, memes or otherwise?
I quite literally only saw the memes, so I have no idea about any of it except for what you just said.
Well, fair enough.
I would have to see it to truly understand it, so I'm going to reserve judgment.
Fair enough. That, to your point, I really do want to try it. Like, I'm so excited to try this thing. Not buy this thing, but try. Like, go to an Apple store at launch, put it on, go through Apple's little controlled demo, go to some friend who maybe owns one for some reason, put it on, mess with it. But I don't know why I would buy one at this stage. Because it's also, here's something, it's $3,500. So there's also that. And
Don't change for Jason right now.
No, I wish, no. But yeah, it's very expensive, and the biggest use case that they've been able to pitch is, hey, you know how on your Mac you can have multiple windows? What if those windows could be all around you? And hey, do you like watching TV? What if you can grab the corner of your TV and just like expand it bigger, and now you have like a virtual IMAX in front of you, which is kind of cool. But I don't know if it's $3,500. You can only watch by yourself. You can't like have a social viewing of a movie with someone next to you unless they have a headset too. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of weird things, but conceptually, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Angel, what do you think of it?
It sounds like a fun piece of tech, but yeah, I mean, I just really want to try it just to see how crisp that screen is claimed to be. I watched a video. What's his name? Marquise Brown. Marquez Brown.
MKBHD.
MKBHD.
Yeah, and they were talking about how heavy it is just because it's made of metal or aluminum or something. And I guess that part kind of has me worried because headsets, after a while, and I do, like, you know, I've had the PlayStation VR 2 and the PlayStation VR. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to, like, using them for a long time, but even those, like, get heavy after a while. So I can only imagine what one that is heavy from the get-go would be like. But, you know, the potential for having, like, a multi-screen setup, even if it's, like, for just basic computing. Because I'm like, I kind of like having my MacBook Pro, not even as, like, a heavy-use computer, just kind of, like, as my, I don't know, miscellaneous laptop. It's, like, now somewhere between my PC and my iPad. Like, I almost don't necessarily need it, but it's sometimes nice to have. But, so I could, if I didn't have this, you know, MacBook Pro, I could potentially see something like this, like, existing as my in-between, but, I don't know. Definitely curious where this goes.
It's really interesting because I feel like there are a few times, once in a while, Apple always likes to be, we're inventing a new product category. You know, the iPad, it's tablets anyway. Obviously, the iPhone was a new type of phone. The watch, like, the iPad, generally speaking, I feel like Apple introduces something and takes 2 or 3 generations to kind of figure out what it's useful for. Like, the phone being the exception. Like, when the watch came out, they're like, it's everything your phone does on your wrist. And it took them a few generations to be like, okay, it's about fitness. It's about, like, quick glanceability. It's about, like, there was a bunch of apps you get on the watch that literally don't exist on the watch anymore. Like, companies are just like, Instagram was on the watch at launch and now isn't, because it's like, who's scrolling through Instagram on their wrist? Like, and I feel like that ultimately is kind of maybe where the Vision Pro is going, because, like, to your point, there are some use cases where it makes sense. They showed someone on an airplane and, like, being able to have, like, that escape on the plane to, like, just go watch a movie at, like, this huge screen and just kind of be zoned in on that and fade out the plane and fade out the noise of the plane. And, you know, it has, like, its own little sound system. It has, like, there are cases where this thing is kind of cool. It just, I don't know. I feel like and I feel like this is true of PlayStation VR as well. They're all kind of chasing something that isn't really, like, it feels like all these companies are scrambling to make these headsets because they need to get they need to draw their line in the sand, get their feet, like, foot in the door or whatever, so they could have developers want to sign up to work on their platform. So when this technology gets to the point that it doesn't need to be a heavy headset and can be a pair of glasses or whatever, that they have their ecosystems ready. Like, it feels like none of this has been proven as, like, a strong market. Even the Meta Quest stuff is, like, they sold 20 million. That's nothing to scoff at, but like they made a Pro and it kind of bombed. That was, I think, 1,500. So like, everyone's kind of like, this will be the future because we're going to say it's the future, and we need to make sure we all have the thing ready for the future. So then when the future arrives, we have our ecosystem already in place. But no one knows if that future is going to arrive in like a mass market way. And that's what's kind of interesting is like a lot of Apple products ultimately do exist to solve a problem. iPhone's too small. There's an iPad. Want notifications without staring at your phone all day? There's your watch. Like this one, I guess it's, do you want what you do on your Mac and your TV, but bigger and more in your face? Like it just seems kind of not adrift, but it seems like it's a solution looking for, or it's an answer looking for a question, while the others kind of answer an existing question. Even if they were broad brushstrokes and they had to scale it down. Like this one, are there that many people that are like, I wish I had an iMac screen in my house that I could only watch by myself? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a weird, and they're certainly putting all their like best efforts into it. I mean, if you look at how this thing came together, you could see like the roots and the traces of past products and stuff. Apple's, a lot of the AR stuff they could do on your phone, even little things like, change the background of a picture or something, like all that works into how like they figure out when people are in the environment and if they come in front of your UI or not on the screen, or like the way that's built. Like they use the digital crown from the watch to help with the weight that you pointed out, Angel. They use a very similar mesh to what the AirPod Maxes have, which is quite comfortable. You could see literally all the bits and pieces of what Apple's been doing for the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years kind of coalescing around this thing. And this is like kind of like the hodgepodge of it all, like the amalgamation of all their efforts. But it's just, I'll be really interested to see where it goes. This is the first time, even with the iPad, it's like, I remember when it came out, it's like, this is just a big phone. But like, people are going to want to like use it instead of their tiny phone, especially when the phones back then were like 3.5-inch screens. And the watch is like, I bought a watch not fully knowing why I bought it. I got it like day one, and I was just like, this is kind of cool, but like it's nice to not to pull my phone out of my pocket. This, I have yet to wrap my head around what it does for me, but maybe that's something that in the next few years Apple will figure out. But it's an interesting, this is the moment where like if VR and AR headsets go mainstream, Apple's marketing around it is what's going to do it. Sorry, PlayStation VR, but realistically, Apple's the thing that will push it mainstream. I saw some stat that VR headsets are down like 70% in sales year over year or something like that. So PlayStation VR is not really moving the needle, but Apple has the clout, for better or worse, to move that needle. So if it were to ever take off, this thing is the moment. But I don't know if it will take off. That will be the big question. But anyway, yeah, that's my ramblings about the Vision Pro. I just thought it was a very interesting piece of tech. It's the most futuristic thing Apple's probably announced in a long time. Even the watch is, it's your phone, but on your wrist. Like this is a leap. So it'll be interesting. Be interesting to see where it goes, but definitely kind of a peek at the future, or a future that may or may not pan out. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool tech, for sure. Yeah. But anyway, that was my ramble about that. Should we?
Cool.
Yeah, should we spin that wheel?
Comic-Con. Yeah, the inevitable leveraging of Comic-Con events, I guess.
That's where it will be good. That's where VR is great.
I guess.
That is where VR is great. If you're in a place where it's like set up for it. VR arcades, like Dreamscape arcades, that's where this stuff shines, because it's like a compartmentalized, like you do it for like 20 minutes, you move on. It's like an experience. You come and go, like a theme park ride. Yeah, the question is, will home use catch up to it? If not, I could see this thing totally being a cool Comic-Con thing. Yeah, 100%. Anyway,
well, all right.
Should we spin the wheel again?
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Spin that wheel. How is Angel always so far behind?
It's never going to be synchronized.
Like we're pretty synced up.
Really? It sounded like Kevin and I were on point. Really? It sounded like you were really far behind.
So this is what latency is, guys. We just figured it out. This is what the gamers mean when they say about latency. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyways, it landed on our random Nintendo biannual outing.
Who wants to tell the tale of our field trips that we now do? I just talked a lot, so I'm good with taking a break and letting you guys have the floor.
Well, damn, how long ago was it that we did this?
Memorial Day.
2 years?
Memorial Day, so 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it feels like it. No, so about whenever Fast 10 releases when it happened. But basically, the boys got together to go see Fast 10, the latest entry in the Fast and Furious franchise. Was it a mistake? Possibly. I don't know how we saw that movie and didn't look back.
I will say
that was a movie.
It was a movie. That's what I was gonna say. It whelmed. It did not overwhelm. It did not underwhelm. It whelmed. I feel like they didn't go as ridiculous as they should have.
I was a little
yeah, it was probably
disappointed
one of
as
the-
far as like the over the topness. It felt a little more grounded than I was expecting, just from what I've heard happened in the other movies and from what I saw in 8. But yeah,
Yeah, so it was okay. It wasn't not even close to being the best in the series. That still goes to what's the name of that movie? Fast.
Is this a quiz to make sure I answer correctly?
Fast 5.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say Fast 5. I was like,
Which this is technically a direct sequel to.
and yeah, and you know it's a direct
5
sequel
movies
because in the
after.
first 10 minutes of the movie, half the footage is from Fast 5. They intermix it with new footage, so you're literally rewatching the climax of Fast 5 to start this movie. Which was
Full spoilers on this movie, assuming we do full spoilers. But anyways, we all went to Jason's neck of the woods
indeed.
to not doxing if we call it Culver City, right?
It was no, it's fine. It wasn't Culver City, so you wouldn't be doxing me. It was Century City.
Century City.
Yeah, which just this weekend,
Sea City.
you guys on the broader internet may have recently heard Century City name dropped a few times because the U.S. Open golf tournament just took place like right here. It was chaos. There's traffic and stuff everywhere. But yeah, so it's been Century City's been on TV lately. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to his neck of the woods. We picked him up. He lives right by the theater that we were staying at.
Won't say which direction because then we'd be doxing. But I'm in a radius of this theater. Yes.
Super close to that theater.
I live in it. My apartment's actually in Cinema 2, which is
it's
next
also
to
that a
Dolby
lesson
Atmos.
was learned as far as like, yeah, we should just walk as opposed to like, drive and then come back and then.
Well,
Yeah.
so I have and I still do have a really bad lower back right now. So that kind of was that was the reason that I decided to drive. Because yeah, my back was just destroying me. So I picked up the boys, went to the parking lot. Oh, this was Memorial Day, right?
Yeah, it was Memorial Day. So the lot was
Yeah,
a little
there we go. It was
a little
Memorial
madness. It's always madness at that mall, but it's a little extra madness.
Yeah. So that was fun. And there was absolutely no parking. I must have looked for parking for about
Like 25
give or
minutes.
take 25 minutes. I dropped these guys off, said, "Hey boys, go take care of business because I'm going to be here a while."
And just for those wondering, take care of business meant buy movie tickets and then eat a Auntie Annie's pretzel. So, important business.
Very important business.
Yes.
Finally decided to just drive to Jason's house.
And then walk back, yeah.
And then walk back to the theater. It's that close, ladies and gentlemen, which I really, really
I feel like we're
appreciate.
like a second away from just reciting my address on this podcast. So everyone, I live at
Really fun.
one. No, but yeah, it's very close. And I will say, I might be slightly
yeah,
biased. The reason the mall is so crowded, it might be one of the, if not the best mall in LA. So just saying.
Okay, well, don't toot your horn too much.
Too late.
But yeah, did
Actually, you can almost say the ramen was just like the movie.
Whelmed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was satisfied in both, but I wasn't like, oh my god, that was amazing.
Let's set the scene here because this ramen isn't just like we got ramen. Like it was like, Kevin, what's the backstory of this place? Like, it's the only location outside Japan or something like that. Like what is it?
No, there's a couple locations outside.
But it is a
Japan for
Japanese
but-
chain specifically, not like an American ramen place.
Correct. That was all right, I guess. We went right after the movie.
And man, if we had a podcast
Right.
mic when we were standing in line for this place, because there was a line for the OK ramen, you guys would have heard all our rankings of every Fast movie from the 1st to the 10th. But unfortunately, it's just a fleeting moment in time, never to be heard again.
Yeah, unfortunately. But we waited in this line that took us maybe 15 minutes to get in.
Maybe a little longer.
There was like
Wasn't very
4
fast.
parties in front of us.
Yeah.
There's 4 parties in front of us, and 15 minutes. We got our ramen. We just had the regular tonkatsu ramen. And I see this place on TikTok all the time, like, oh, if you want to have like some authentic Japanese ramen, head to Ramenagi in Century City. And boy, was it the most mid ramen that I've ever had in my life.
It was pretty.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's pretty meh or pretty okay. It wasn't bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Like if you're around the area and the line isn't too long, yeah, sure, go try it. Apparently, there's another ramen place in that.
In the food
That,
court called
shopping
Ramen
center?
King. Yes.
Yeah, ramen
We should have
King, which
known
apparently
that
is
there's
pretty
Ramen
good.
King that this other one isn't going to compare. So it's just like ramen, whoever's above King.
Well, because
Ace.
there's no that No, I get what you're getting at, but no.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
there's
I'm
this
kidding.
place
I'm just riffing
that a
on
lot
the
of
name. Yeah.
Mexican people love called King Taco.
And you're not a fan?
Probably okay.
It
Okay
used to be
taco
better,
is what I would call it.
But then again, it was like one of the first like of those style of taco places I went to. So at the beginning I was like, "Whoa, this is really good," but then you eventually start to go to other places, and you're like, "Oh, it's okay. Like it's not bad." But I don't know. They also got worse with like how much they skimp on the sauces. Like I think they charge you now per sauce or something ridiculous.
Whoa.
Where you go somewhere like Tacos Gavilan.
Yeah.
And, you can basically grab as much as you want of anything. But
And if we're talking about random podcast field trips, Taco Gavilan, like that was our go-to. We used to record pre-pandemic when we would record the old show in person. We'd record at like 10 at night, 11 at night on Friday, and we'd all hop in a car, and that would be our dinner every time, almost.
for a while it was Blaze, wasn't it? Blaze.
No, they weren't open at that point because we'd be done recording at like midnight.
Really? I feel like there was a point where we went to Blaze like every single weekend.
Oh, yeah, that was years ago before even Kevin was on the podcast, and that's just when we were hanging out. Yeah. Yeah, because that was during that cycle is when you decided to go by Angel as your first name. During that Blaze, when we were doing the Blaze streak, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. Oh, should we talk about our idea?
Possibly.
Remember that thing that we saw?
Oh, yes, we should talk about it. This is
Should
really
we talk about it, or should we save it in case we end up doing
we need
it?
to talk about it. This is the real, like, I'm sure people are listening like, okay, so they saw a movie and they ate some ramen. That's cool. But wait until you hear about this story. This is why this is the best mall in LA, because no other mall in their right mind would let this store get a lease because they know the store won't last. Would you like to explain what the store is?
I forgot what it was called.
Dora or something like that. Doma, Dora, something with a D and a A.
Doppel.
Maybe.
I'm looking at it today.
Okay.
Like
So basically,
Doppel.
Doppel.
Doppel?
Yes.
Oh,
so
that makes sense. Like a
essentially
doppelganger.
what Doppel is.
Yeah.
Essentially, what Doppel is Doppel is a place where you go and get a picture taken of you or friends or family, and on top of that, they 3D print it. We want to go ahead and take pictures of ourselves, the random Nintendo crew, and give it to one poor individual out there in the sweepstakes.
Now,
A 3D model of the random Nintendo crew.
not just a tiny 3D model, by the way. These things are 14 inches tall. That is over a foot tall of us. You can have in your home, on your fireplace mantle, or wherever you put us, a 14-inch tall Kevin, Angel, and Jason posing together in full 3D. You know you want it.
It is pretty expensive. So this will be on our dime because we're not going to subjugate some poor listener
To pay $300
to pay
or whatever it was.
It was $150 per person.
Oh, so it'd be $450 for the three of us. Great.
Yeah, $450. Yeah,
You could literally
for
buy
a little 3D rendering.
You
of
could
us.
literally buy like a Switch Lite and an Xbox Series S at that price. Or you could get us.
Yes.
Or you could get us.
Do you
Or you
think
get
And the
if we're
choice
giving
is
each other
very
a
clear.
very, very tight hug, they could just charge us for like maybe 1.5 people?
For one person.
What if we
Just
stand
for,
on
like,
each other?
three
What if we do
different
like
figures
a,
that's
we're
just,
like a totem pole?
One very thick figure, I guess.
Or what if we're like
Yeah, we
Vincent
maybe
Adultman
we
and
can do
BoJack
that.
Horseman, and we're all standing on top of each other, but we have a trench coat on, so we're like one person, but you see our three faces. Is that 150 at that point?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know how that would
I don't
work.
know. But this thing is real. And like
Let's say
literally
why
the
wouldn't.
store, you go in and half the store is just like an empty store, and then the back half is just this crazy 3D rotoscope looking like camera system that takes your picture from every angle. You're in like this room of white light, which we have not stepped into. We've not seen the light. But yeah, I can't imagine this store lasting very. I mean, I kind of can because we're right next to Beverly Hills, and I can see a whole bunch of people be like, "Oh, what a nice stocking stuffer to give to all our friends." But in most normal, sane places, I don't see us taking off whatsoever. Also, did you like my rich person voice? I've been not working on that at all.
It was all right.
Thank you, thank you.
So that was our idea. Whether it happens or not is a different story. I think that's something that we have to take offline.
But we don't want to leave folks hanging because we promise, like we're going to do a giveaway and then we're not. So we actually do have a giveaway for real. We will recap it at the end for people who are skipping around. But if you're listening all the way through, keep an eye on the Round in Town Twitter. We are giving away a Courtesy of Angel, a digital copy of the Super Mario Brothers movie. So we are actually giving you a real prize for listening to the prize you can't get anytime soon. So that is coming. That is real.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. It's like a $20 value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a tenth of the
look out for
$300
that
value, but
As we walked back to Jason's house, he got accosted by a homeless person.
This is true.
That was pretty funny.
This is true. Yeah, he called me all sorts of words.
Accosting,
We can't.
Not the fact that he was homeless.
He was saying all sorts of words that we can't repeat on this family-friendly recording.
Yeah, not at all.
I guess he said "the" at some point in between the words, but yeah, he said some safe words in between the not so safe words. But yeah, so
yeah, that was our hangout.
It was a big field trip.
I think we're gonna do it
we
again
survived.
soon, right?
Yes,
Potentially.
Is that all we want to say about our
I
hangout?
guess. I feel like we can't top the basically 14-inch tall Christmas ornament of us that we can get made. But do they do
That
mini
we
ones?
will get made.
Do they do mini ones? Could we do Christmas ornament? Like I know I made the joke about stocking stuffer, but now I think about it, what a great. Why give a card? Why give a holiday card to friends and family, where you could just give them an ornament of yourself? I understand their business.
They did have multiple sizes.
Yeah, they do have multiple sizes. So the 6-inch is the 6-inch is $159 per person.
Oh wow!
Oh wow, that was still that price. Jesus.
Yeah,
that was that
okay.
price.
Because I was gonna say I almost see the business logic of this more than the Vision Pro from Apple, but I take that back. I do not, because that price is insane. So never mind.
For 4 inches, that's $80.
Okay, it's coming down. It's coming down.
It's not too bad, I guess.
Does $20 get you like a 2 centimeter tall, like just blob of plastic that they say is you?
The $20 gets you everybody laughing at you in the store.
Oh, that could be worth it if you're really just looking for someone to acknowledge you in some way. Wow, that got sad. If you're just craving a human interaction and you can pay $20 for someone to laugh, I guess that's something.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're done with that,
Yeah, what's next on the wheel? I don't know where we go from here.
Right. 1, 2, 3. Let's
spin that wheel. Have fun syncing those
I don't
up.
know what you said, Angel.
What was that?
I think we're getting worse.
I think you said Sprid.
What? Friend?
What?
And the winner is The Flash.
Angel?
Angel?
Yeah, I'm kind of grouping The Flash and Transformers together on this one because I just been watching, somehow ended up watching these two not too far from each other. I mean, I just feel like I've been in the
Probably because
theater
they
a lot
came
lately,
out a
but
week apart. That's probably how you saw them so close together.
Also because I saw Transformers twice, like
You're welcome.
almost back to back. Like that's on Sunday and that's Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, overall though, like it seems like it's been The Flash coming after Transformers was actually kind of great because Transformers was, I would say, was okay.
Right.
I kind of had my hopes up a little from Bumblebee, just because I enjoyed that one, mainly the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, that movie's great.
Yeah, no, I was in the same boat. It's hoping
Like the rest of the
Bumblebee
movie
quality.
is fun. Like it, there's definitely something to just having like a much simpler story, just focusing on like a handful of characters. Finally, not having like world-ending stakes. Like
You're talking about Bumblebee, right?
Yeah, Bumblebee.
Okay.
Yeah, because
that's
the
not
stakes were literally
that's
just
not
like
Rise of the Beast. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the stakes were literally just the two Decepticons trying to kill Bumblebee.
Right.
Like, that's pretty much it. But yeah, and then Rise of the Beast comes here and is, just trying to be very grand. Like, it's called Rise of the Beast, but if anything, the number of beasts goes down from, 6 to 4. So if anything, it's the decline of the beasts.
Yeah.
But,
Can we talk about the beasts real quick?
since I saw it twice, I had more time to think about it, and I was like, all right, well, I guess they picked them because their whole deal, at least the only one that really got to talk besides Air Razor, the Falcon, is Optimus Primal. The other two, Rhinox and Cheetor, I think they maybe get a line. I don't even think Rhinox got a line. He maybe said something.
He did not. I think he grunted at one point.
I think he might have
Wait,
yelled
you
something.
seen Rise of the Beast?
What?
Jason?
Yeah, I actually went with. So Angel went twice. I went with him to see it in lovely 4DX. I'm just gonna say it. Mario in 4DX was a better 4DX experience than Transformers, which shocked me.
Yeah, but we got actual hang time in Transformers.
That's true.
Once, but
yeah,
that was pretty intense. That was the most intense explosion I've ever experienced.
We felt the recoil of the blast. Like they did the with the seat. It was actually kind of cool. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, the deal with the beasts is that they're, I guess, already on, the movie starts distant planet, not Earth. The beasts, the Maximals were already there as Maximals, so, I guess it's just another very Earth-like planet where I guess those animals, I guess, just also happen to exist there. But their whole deal is that, all life is precious, let's preserve it, blah, blah, blah. So, nature. So it's like, okay, maybe that's why they're animals, or that's why they picked them. But other than that, that's literally it. That's like as far as the Maximal Beast Wars connection goes, because they literally could have just been other Autobots that are refugees from this other planet that got destroyed by Unicron, the planet-eating transformer. Because after that, that's basically it. That's as far as the whole beast thing goes.
Yeah, and that was disappointing. It was. I used to watch Beast Wars every morning before school as a kid. So when they first put out the trailer, it's like, oh, the Beast, the Optimus Primal is here, and Cheetor is here, and Rhinox is here, and like it was like, oh my god, this is gonna be great. And yeah, they were like barely even side characters. And I get it's Rise of the Beast, and I get they're supposedly doing more movies where they want to do a trilogy or something. But like, if you're putting all the marketing muscle behind, look at the Beasts. And then the Maximals, like, aren't really doing a whole lot, and some of them don't have any lines, and they leave out entire ones like Rat Trap, and, like, Scorponok is literally not even Scorponok, it's just an army of, like, robots that look like scorpions that are supposed to be Scorponoks but aren't. Like, it just felt very... Like, the inner child in me was really... And I tweeted something along these lines, but the inner child in me was really excited to see them in any capacity, and they had a great shot at one point, like, Cheetor and Bumblebee side by side. I'm like, oh, because they're kind of the same character from the two worlds. Okay. But, yeah, that was, like, it. Like it really, they felt very underutilized in a movie that literally has their name on it or beasts on it.
The fun thing is that like it bothers me whenever like as we're both like Beast Wars fans, but if I just like try to disconnect myself from all of that, or just like the use of the lore, I guess that they could if I ignore the potential just because we know what could have potentially been. There were no Predacons in the movie. There was no
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Or anything.
It was very the bare minimum to say they did it.
Yeah, like ignoring all of that, like it was fine. Like it was, there was definitely more Transformer action than there was like bouncing back and forth between like the human drama and the Transformer drama. Like the human stuff was mainly in the beginning, and then you're basically just hanging out with the Transformers the whole time.
Yeah, one of which is voiced by Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
Make of that what you will. It was very much Pete Davidson with a robot voice. Like it wasn't. He actually wasn't. He was a little more. He wasn't as Pete Davidson as I thought he would be, but he was still very Pete Davidson. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't really know how much outside of this and I guess Fast X to tie it back to the thing. I guess I know his name. I think he died right away in Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad.
He did. He mainly SNL was where he kind of. And like on SNL, like he didn't do a ton of skits, and he did some like desk pieces for Weekend Update. They're actually pretty funny. Like the guy's funny, but yeah, he's kind of just like famous for being Pete Davidson, and he does have some acting talent. Don't get me wrong, but like he's very like Pete Davidson. Like every commercial you see, he does for like Taco Bell or something, where it's like, "Hey, I'm Pete Davidson. I'm just gonna act like Pete Davidson." That's how he is in everything he does.
He's in that movie Bodies.
Yes, yeah,
and in the behind the scenes, like making of the film. There's an interview with Pete Davidson where he goes, in this movie I play an asshole, which is very hard for me to do. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, no, he is a funny guy. He's just everything he does, he's just Pete Davidson. Like he has that rhythm down of like being Pete Davidson. So like it's funny when he keeps popping up in different things, and he's still like Mirage being Pete Davidson and not Mirage is funny in the sense of like, oh, there he is being Pete Davidson. But yeah.
Yeah, which is fine since Mirage didn't necessarily have a personality I really remember outside of him. He's just another Autobot. He was not necessarily a main character or anything. So, and they clearly wanted to like plug Mirage as like the new Bumblebee main character bot, which is probably why Bumblebee just
barely in it.
He's kind of just left out of the movie for like most of it.
Yep. With the throwaway line to explain why Bumblebee doesn't like the movie Bumblebee doesn't have a direct connection to this.
Yeah, it's like, I know humans were once good to you, and that's literally all you get.
Yeah, he's like, I know they were once good to you, but, like, I don't want you visiting the junkyard anymore. And that was it. That was the only reference, which was kind of funny. Also, I'm going to be honest, they need to grow out of Bumblebee only talking in movie quotes. the stick's a little like it worked in Bumblebee when he was like first. It works in some level, but in this one, it just felt really like I don't know, not ham-fisted, but really, it's 7 movies of him doing that. Like the quotes didn't even all fit very well. Like it was just like
they just blamed the continuity because he did get his voice ripped out in Bumblebee, so it can't just be fixed between movies. I guess it could.
No, I know. I'm just saying like they need to write that out eventually. I feel like Bumblebee was nice.
Well,
but, yeah,
he did get his voice back in one of the ones with Mark Wahlberg. So
fun fact,
get it back eventually.
Apparently, this Rise of the Beast movie and Bumblebee are part of a continuity that is separate from all the Bayformer movies.
Well, there you go. So maybe he could get it back in the next one. Maybe just get it off screen.
So they're not all Knights of the Round Table.
That could have been
one,
something they done when he came back to join the fight at the end. He could have just been like, "Oh, look, that also happened to have fixed my voice because what's apparently strong enough to bring him back is also strong enough. I guess not strong enough to bring back his voice. I don't know, but yeah." Yeah, well, it was still a fun movie, both in 4DX and not didn't reach the highs of Bumblebee. But something that did catch me by surprise, I didn't really have expectations for Flash. Keep them brief because I think Jason still wants to watch it
at some point. Yes,
but yeah, like I really really enjoyed that movie. It definitely felt like I don't know. I don't remember the last time I saw a superhero movie. Maybe it was probably a Spider-Man of sorts, but. Yeah, just like the use of powers. I mean, I guess it's the first time we get this much Flash in a movie, but they just made a super speed look really cool. And that being said, though, as cool as they made his powers look, this movie definitely suffered a lot from some scenes where the CG is passable because if you saw the trailer, there's like dimension, there's like multiple universes stuff, and the way the Flash gets to these different things is like, their own unique take on time travel. And it's kind of interesting. It's actually pretty interesting. I don't think I've ever seen time travel portrayed this way. It's almost like he's fast forwarding and rewinding through a movie. But the way it looks, it's like a bunch of CG duplicates of, I guess, events that happened already. And it looks kind of weird. And it kind of works, but it's mostly kind of weird. But in those instances, the CG is like, you let it slide because, they're supposed to represent moments, but...
They claim it's intentionally bad.
But when he's in the super slow-mo...
Yeah, like I failed all my tests at college.
Yeah, the director's like, oh, it's because it's his warped perspective. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like, it doesn't look horrible, but it's just noticeable. Especially, and then when he's in super slow-mo doing, there's obviously going to be some Quicksilver-style scenes, and, I mean...
Of course.
Like he has the right to all the super speedy stuff, but yeah, like there's, I don't know, the use of CG for people is like extra noticeable in this movie sometimes. And I wouldn't say it's enough to like take you out of it. It just looks weird. And obviously like, yeah, they're not going to put an actual baby in a microwave.
I'm sorry, what? Spoiler? What?
I'm sorry?
No, that's like in the first like 10 minutes. But yeah, I'll let you see.
You can't just like casually talk about microwaving bababies. Like that's a normal thing in movies. What?
Yeah, he has to rescue babies, and that was just one of the ways that he did it. But
babies in microwaves?
So he's
one baby in one microwave.
To clarify, he's rescuing the baby from the microwave, or he's putting it in a turned off microwave to keep it safe from something else?
I mean, it should be obvious, but yeah.
I don't know because the fact that seed is happening is strange enough. I don't know what's obvious in this twisted world.
You'll see.
Okay.
You'll be surprised how it even like plays in. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it was fun. It was fun seeing Michael Keaton reprise Batman. It was fun seeing like some other surprises that I definitely wasn't expecting. It was kind of one of those good movies to not get spoiled, but I didn't really. Yeah, it was just I guess I did watch it opening weekend, so I guess that's probably why. But yeah, I'd recommend it. I mean, obviously, there is the whole Ezra Miller thing. It's kind of a shame because, like I said, the movie's really fun. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like that's up to you to decide whether you want to watch it or not.
Right.
That being said, though, like if you weren't a fan of just Barry Allen's or the Flash's characterization in Justice League, like wisecracking, funny man, I guess is what they were going for. I thought they did a good job of like just kind of grounding him. It's almost like his whole arc is like growing out of that behavior. But yeah, we just also thought was kind of interesting. But yeah.
So
Otherwise,
between the two, Transform, Rise of the Beast or the Flash? It sounds like the Flash wins.
oh, easily.
Okay.
No, yeah. I mean, I was like, I was about to explode halfway through, like needing to go to the restroom of the Flash, but I endured because I didn't want to miss anything, and there was maybe like an hour left of pain.
And you're telling me in Transformers you would just be like, screw this movie, there's not any Predacons, and just like walk out and go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I probably would have been like, oh, I gotta go to the restroom. I'm probably not gonna miss much.
You probably wouldn't have, honestly.
By
the way,
action, yeah.
Transformers thought that crossed my mind after we watched the movie, and I never thought about this as a kid. So you have a gorilla who's Optimus Prime, and you don't call him Optimus Primate, you call him Optimus Primal, but Primate's right there? Really? Really, Hasbro? You're so close.
To be fair, they had the names before they were, right?
But obviously, obviously they did Primal because animal and like, you know, he's primal. Like they could have called it Primate and come up with some other excuse. But yes, you're right. Technically, they land on Earth and then scan, in the cartoon, land on Earth, scan some animals. That's how he becomes a primate. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when they give them their name. They're like, call me Cheetor.
Exactly. They're all named after the animals, except they're all named after the animal. Rat Trap, by the way, wasn't in the movie. Where's Rat Trap? Is a rat. Cheetor's a cheetah.
Well, because he's a primal version of Optimus Prime, I guess.
He's also a primate version of Optimus Prime.
Is RC cool in this movie? Because I really like RC, and they did her dirty in the favors.
RC is still RC in this movie.
Yeah, but like, is she cool in it?
Oh, she does a lot of flips.
Yeah, she's very acrobatic, very CG looking.
Yeah, she sucks in the Bavers. I think she's only in...
She's like a triplet in the Bavers, and she gets killed off. I think it's Revenge of the Fallen.
In this one, she's essentially a gold medal gymnast. Like, she does some crazy gymnastics. Like, she flips every
she probably gets... She gets... I guess the non-Beast Wars get a lot of voice lines. Like, she gets a lot of voice lines, and so does even... Who else is even part of that crew? Just Mirage, Optimus, and...
That's it.
Wheeljack.
Oh, right.
One with the glasses.
By the way, side thought. Not to go back to Transformers too much. One thing Michael Bay actually did really well with those movies that I feel like was missing in Rise of the Beast, they don't do a whole lot with the transformation stuff. Like, I feel like there are so many cool shots in, like, the Bay movies of, like, weaving through them as they transform. Like, they like, in the fight, they partly transform to, like, do a thing, or they're, like, doing all sorts of crazy. This one, it's like, oh, they're robots now, and look how acrobatic they are. Oh, they're cars now. The only cool stuff where they show them, like, the transformation being useful is when they do, like, entrances or exits, kind of. Like when they have like Anthony Ramos' character like come out of the like literally walk out of the car as it's transforming into like there's some cool stuff like that. But like in terms of the fights, in terms of like even they're just like when he first meets all of them, they just kind of like walk into this barn like in full robot form. It's just like feels like a missed opportunity. I don't know. Felt a little less like Transformers and more like superheroes or something.
There was that one moment where Pete Davidson was driving backwards and then he transforms himself, to be not backwards.
Yeah, that was cool. There's a couple scattered ones, but even when they did that, they just showed him she just kind of flipped. They didn't like go like through the mechanics of the transformations didn't feel as like well oiled as they did in the Michael Bay movies. I know what you mean.
And it definitely got more and more intense in the Bay movies as they went on. Like I remember there were some parts where you have Bumblebee literally just transforming an arm, but leaving the rest of his body in car mode just so he could grab something, and then it turns back into like the piece of the car.
Yeah, like stuff like that was kind of like this kind of felt like, oh, there's just these aliens that are like, or superhero looking aliens that are just doing like they're just fighting each other as robot aliens opposed to like transforming robot aliens. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
What's next?
Funny thing to digress.
What? Yes.
It's a funny thing.
Yes,
to
it
digress.
is. And I have a habit of doing it on these very, very recordings. Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Spin that wheel.
Just spin that wheel. Said it.
We need a sound effect for the wheel spin. We really dropped the ball there. The roulette ball, if you will.
By like a hair. Jason's game corner.
Oh man, it's not just mine. It's a game corner for all of us. But yes, something that happened literally in the entire time since we last got together to record is we had, I don't know what you want to call it, Summer Game Fest, not E3, just the month of June. But like there was a lot of video game things that happen. And I feel like there's a little something for everyone. Like, say what you will about E3 being dead, Summer Game Fest not being the same, but like there is something kind of fun about seeing what everyone's up to, all in a relatively compact time frame. And we got a PlayStation showcase or whatever they call those. We got Summer Game Fest. We got
That was a PlayStation Showcase. Yeah.
Okay. PlayStation Showcase, Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, Ubisoft Forward, which was like that one was interesting because they wanted to get the vibe of E3, so they did like a live press conference, but they didn't have the like majesticness of E3, so it wasn't like in the LA theater like it normally is. It was in like a extra room in some random building or something, so it was like very small and compact, but it still had the like awkward cringe of live, which was anyway. We had that, and then we had a Capcom showcase as well, plus a bunch of indie stuff in between. What did you guys watch? Did you guys watch any of them at all?
What did I watch?
Yeah, I watched the whole this one.
Just the PlayStation Showcase, or at least part of it. But that's about it. I didn't even see Summer Game Fest. I think, is that where the Ninja Turtle DLC news came from?
I don't think so. Wait, was it? It was where the Spider-Man 2 release date was announced.
Then maybe.
Where the Spider-Man 2 was announced?
Where the release date was announced.
That was the Sony showcase.
No, that was Summer Game Fest. They showed gameplay of Spider-Man 2 at Sony.
They announced. So that was that was Summer Game Fest itself.
Yeah, that they announced. Yes,
the Summer Game Fest showcase. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you saw, Angel.
Yeah, just that Ninja Turtle DLC trailer, which I don't know, I'm always excited about. Playing as Usagi.
No,
the
I think that's
pretty cool.
Like you saw, that was the only thing from Summer Game Fest that you saw.
Oh, yeah, and it was just a trailer, but I don't know if that was announced during Summer Game Fest. But that's like the only new.
I don't even think that was during the. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that being during the show. But Kevin, you sounded more plugged in. You said you were more plugged in. What? Any highlights across any of them? I imagine Final Fantasy. I imagine Persona.
Final Fantasy, Persona, that new game from Team Atlas.
Project Mirage? Is that what it's called? Something like that?
No.
Metaphoric, something.
Metaphor Refantasia.
Could we just make like a blanket rule in gaming that like, if you're going to have an English title, like have it use real words? Like, is that too much to ask?
That looks dope as hell.
It does look cool, actually, visually.
It basically just looks like High Fantasy Persona, which is so cool.
It's like Persona, like by way of like old Final Fantasy or like Fire Emblem or something. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of
super cool.
What was it called? The Fire Emblem Persona crossover they did, or Shin Megami crossover.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Yeah, kind of just some of it, especially the blue hair on the main person. Kind of, gave me that vibe.
Yeah. But no, that game is just straight up Persona from what I saw.
Right.
Like they had social links. They had the same style of menu where each face button is different action in a turn-based setting. It looks right up my alley. I can't wait for that. Obviously, Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3 is my favorite in the series. And they just Persona 5'd the crap out of Persona 3, which is awesome.
Right down to not bringing it to Switch, just like Persona 5.
Whatever.
Yeah, that at least
I guess you have Persona 3 Portable.
Yeah, and Persona 5 Tactics or whatever it's called is coming to Switch.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, but you still have Persona 3 Portable, which actually has more content than Persona
right, because they're not
actually
including stuff like the female playable character I was reading, right, and some other added on stuff. Interesting. Yeah.
That is what it is. But then like on the other side of stuff, like that new Star Wars game looks super hella cool.
Oh, Outlaws? Yeah, I was impressed with that. Also, Nyx, awesome. That little dog thing. I forgot the name of the alien, but that like the way it's like integrated in all of the stuff you do is I thought that was really cool. It's just such a small touch, but gives the game so much more personality. How it's just like there for everything. Yeah,
looks super dope. What else? Starfield looks incredible.
I can't like wrap my head around. Like I know if I owned an Xbox, I would never have the mental bandwidth or the willpower to put in the time to do everything Starfield will offer, all the systems, all the customization. Like there's no way, no chance I would be able to do it. But watching that direct at the end of the Xbox showcase and seeing how much they're pouring into that game was really cool. It's just kind of like almost like a statement by the developer. Like just like a kind of like look what technology lets us, look how crazy games can get in terms of how many different intertwined systems and mechanics and whatever we can put in a single game. Like it's really impressive.
Yeah. That looks super awesome.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good looking stuff out there.
That was kind of the thing I thought was really nice about like this not E3 is this year, and I realized some of it was sort of circumstantial and it worked out that like Xbox, for example, was able to have a really good showing this year because just the development time lined up for a lot of things. But I feel like from PlayStation through Capcom, for the most part, it was actually pretty good, like 3 or 4 weeks of announcements. Like there's a lot of cool stuff. Like whatever your flavor of gaming, there was, even on Switch, there's some cool stuff, which I'll talk about in a minute. But like I felt like that's a pretty well-rounded showing compared to like past years of conferences that were scattered throughout summer. And, we haven't even seen what Nintendo's necessarily going to do. But, yeah, I was kind of pleasantly surprised at how busy everything, there's a lot coming out. It all looks like pretty high quality. There wasn't very many like dull games in the mix this year,
Right.
And I think some of it is, I saw I think it was this Axios, but the guy that runs like Xbox Studios, not Phil Spencer, like his developer head, a guy named, I love that this is his name. His name's Matt Booty, real name. But he was saying that,
poor guy.
Yeah, right? Imagine middle school for him. But yeah, he was saying that, dev times as you get into these more advanced consoles are going to take longer and longer and longer. Like, gamers haven't yet gotten used to the idea that it could take 6, 8, 10 years to release a game. And on the one hand, I can't imagine being a developer spending that long on a single project, like the grind of that. But on the other hand, when all those dev cycles line up just right, it's a pretty exciting time to be into video games. Like, it's just, there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. And even stuff that, like Xbox showed some stuff they didn't even date yet. But like they had a stop motion game called, I forgot what it's called, but that looked kind of cool. Well, stop motion style.
Oh, I was going to say Song of the South. No,
I was about to say the same thing, and I stopped myself.
Of the South.
Yeah, like that looked kind of cool, and like they, right before that they had Fable, which still isn't dead, and they still somewhere in the background have like Perfect Dark. Like Xbox has a lot coming down the pipe. Like it's after a couple years of pretty light load, like having it all kind of line up, and then PlayStation have Spider-Man and some third-party stuff. Like
that's it.
That's true. Actually, yeah, PlayStation's suffering for what Xbox just got over the hurdle of. I feel like that's a very good point. First-party wise, I mean,
get rid of Jim Ryan. I keep saying that.
Yeah, well, there's PlayStation
sucks.
making weird choices, but Angel, to loop you back in the conversation, they didn't forget you at any of this. Capcom in particular remembered you because they gave you an Apollo Justice. They gave you personally Apollo Justice trilogy.
I saw the Capcom whatchamacallit.
Apollo Justice and the Ghost Trick port.
Dragon's Dogma looks awesome too. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4. You had already given me oh yeah, it's definitely free because it's called the mode, and yeah, they confirmed it's free.
Mm-hmm.
So look forward for that. And yeah, they talked a lot more about Ghost Trick, which I love. I mean, that being said, Ghost Trick doesn't need. I mean, I personally didn't feel it needed this much trailers and trailers and trailers
and demos and demos and demos. You can download a demo right
now.
Yeah,
it's not that. I mean, it's an awesome game, but Jesus,
it's very like B tier, which is not a knock against the game. It's just not like that high profile of a game that it needs this much. Maybe they're trying to make it that high profile, or maybe they see potential in how Phoenix Wright has grown to mirror that with Ghost Trick. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and
I'm
definitely gonna get a physical copy of it if I can find one wherever. But yeah, and then they announced Apollo Justice Collection, which is basically just Ace Attorney 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
To go with the 1, 2, 3 collection, which is also super awesome because Part 4 is one that I've wanted to replay a lot on a TV because I do obviously still have access to it on my 3DS and on DS. Well, same thing because it's the same game. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, 5 and 6 are still kind of fresh in my head, so I don't necessarily need to replay those, but just another version to own. Another version I'm going to buy again. And maybe eventually get the Japanese version, because I do have the Japanese version of the trilogy in a physical form, which I got through Anime Expo, which is also coming up.
Breaking news about Anime Expo, because I just saw an ad for it before we recorded. Entertainment will be provided by Shaquille O'Neal. He'll be DJing.
What?
Yep. DJ Diesel is his stage name. But yes, he will be DJing at Anime Expo. So, Angel, we need a full report in the first episode of Random or Nintendo after Anime Expo. You need to give us the full lowdown on Shaq's DJing abilities and any weird interactions that you or those around you may have had with him. So, homework assignment.
Huh.
DJ Diesel.
But yeah, other than that, besides Resident Evil and Ace Attorney stuff, there wasn't anything to it.
That new IP, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like Okami mixed with Onimusha or whatever it's called. Like, that looked kind of cool.
Onimusha. Yeah. Something Goddess of Light.
Yeah. Like, weirdly, they showed the exact same trailer, if I'm not mistaken, at the Xbox showcase and at the Capcom showcase.
No, it was slightly different.
Okay, but like barely. But yeah, that actually looked kind of cool. I wish that was coming to Switch. I realize why it's not coming to Switch. I wish it was coming to Switch. But
There's a lot that's not coming to Switch.
But at the same
for
time,
very, very apparent reasons.
yes, but at the same time, I was pleasantly surprised by some of the stuff that was coming to Switch. In all honesty, like I thought watching Summer Game Fest, there's going to be nothing. Like I know the narrative is the Switch is on its last legs. Like obviously stuff like Ghost Trick can come because that's an up-res port. Apollo Justice Trilogy can come up-res port. But then there were a couple games that actually really caught my eye. I thought Sonic Superstars actually looked really cool. I mean, really all Sega did was go, hey, remember New Super Mario Brothers? What if we just did that for Sonic? So it's like a kind of...
No, it was like if they said, what if we made Sonic the Hedgehog 4, but good?
Oh, yeah,
or that.
Sonic.
That's a good way
That's
to put
cool.
it, yeah. But either way, like it's basically New Super Mario Brothers or Sonic 4 combined. But it seems fun, yeah. Like you can have up to 4 people playing, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy. You can do co-op together. It's all new levels. Interestingly, they are insisting, like they're making this a point because fans notice it and they're really leaning in on it. It uses the physics engine of the 2D games. They are not making new physics. It's literally how it felt when you used to play it, you will feel now. They're replicating it. They're like side-by-side videos, like frame by frame, showing exactly how it's the same. And I was like, wow, that's actually, like, I know the Sonic cycle's a thing, and I know people are always like, oh, you get hyped and then you get disappointed, but like, that's a pretty promising foot forward that they're paying that much attention to detail. The other thing that I thought was kind of cool about it is it's actually being developed by Arzest, or I think that's what they're called, Arzest. You may know them as the developers of the Street Pass Plaza games, Hey Pikmin, Yoshi's New Island, more recently, unfortunately, Balan Wonderland. But the guy who heads up that studio was the original creator of the Sonic character. So Yuji Naka made like the Sonic game, right? Like, but originally Sonic as a game was just a ball rolling around through those levels. This guy, the head of our Zest now, Nato Oshima, I think is his name. He actually made Sonic, like the character, and worked on a lot of the early games. So he's heading up this development. So it's like they brought back like the old school team. And our Zest is made up half of developers from Artoon, who also used to work with Nintendo on stuff, and half old Sega developers. So like it's really kind of like a return to form of sorts for Sonic in terms of how it plays, who's behind it. It's like they found like a second Sonic team or something. But yeah, so that actually looked really promising, and that's coming to Switch. That was one that caught my eye. You started to react to that for a secondary Angel too. Are you excited for that one?
Yeah, I love the art style. I love the way it just animates. I mean, it just looks fun.
Yeah, it looks really good. And I really like in the trailer, too, how they did that little, like, oh, he's running between the new and the old, and he keeps looking back at the other one. And, like, obviously they toyed with that with, like, Sonic Generations in a more real way, but it was kind of a cool little visual thing at the start. But yeah, that's one game coming.
Sonic is cool, but, like, I am happy to see at least, like, some attempt at, I guess we're just calling it an evolution of it, or just, like, the continual growth of it, because we've had 3D, 2D Sonics, but only as, like, half of a game in, like, your Sonic Forces, your Sonic Generations, your Sonic Colors, like where you sometimes have 2D levels. And anytime it was strictly 2D, you would have, the sprite-based ones, unless it was Sonic 4, which I believe wasn't very well received. So it's kind of cool seeing a 2D Sonic get what feels like the budget that it needs to basically be as good as it needs to be. But, we'll see. It's
crazy to me that Sega didn't jump on this sooner. I mean, Nintendo's made 5 New Super Mario Brothers games, and like this is essentially that formula. Like, how did they not, when Mario Wii became like one of the best, how did they not go, maybe we should do this too? Like, they waited so long. Like, in hindsight, it's crazy they didn't jump on that bandwagon sooner. But yeah, hopefully it does prove to actually be kind of what fans seem to already think it is, and break the Sonic cycle a little here. But yeah, so that's one game that's kind of Switch that caught my eye. Another one that caught my eye that's also kind of Switch and was at both Summer Game Fest and Ubisoft's presentation, the new Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, I think it's called. This is interesting because in the same way, what was that game that Ubisoft made? It's basically Breath of the Wild, but wasn't. Was it Phoenix Rising?
Phoenix Rising.
Something's
Immortals Phoenix Rising?
Yeah, Immortals Phoenix Rising. There's a lot of Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown that kind of is like that, but to Metroid Dread. Like, it's a different setting. But gameplay-wise, the way it like does zoom-ins for like dramatic attacks and comes back out, the whole Prince of Persia now being like a Metroidvania, like they straight up are saying it is. Like, you discover new things and you use those abilities to go back to old things. And yeah, it's basically Ubisoft's Metroid Dread, but it actually looks kind of cool. Like, and I've heard it plays very fluidly. Even on Switch, it's running at like 60 frames and really fluid. So, yeah, that one kind of was a pleasant surprise I didn't see coming because I do like I really like Sands of Time on GameCube, which obviously was a bit not a 2D Prince of Persia. But if they were to take something like Metroid Dread and then, as they're doing, bring in the time powers, that's interesting. That has my attention. And it's also not releasing, I don't think, at $60. It's like a budget game of sorts. I think it's 50, maybe 40. So like that's just, between that and Sonic, there's actually like some stuff that kind of still makes sense on Switch that still is coming to Switch. Although Prince of Persia, did anyone else, have you guys seen any footage of it at all?
I didn't even know a Prince of Persia game was announced.
Oh yeah, it opened Summer Game Fest. But the trailer and the second animated trailer they did at Ubisoft Forward, they're not just sort of riffing on Metroid Dread. They also decided what better franchise than Prince of Persia, to riff on Spider-Verse. So like the animated cutscene has a very Spider-Verse vibe. They have music in it that sounds kind of like the Spider-Verse soundtrack. Like, it's like very similar production on like this rap song, and it's very like, yeah, there's a lot of, it's like what if Metroid Dread and like Spider-Verse were like crossed over and then given some like Middle Eastern flair, and that's this new Prince of Persia, which could be a recipe for disaster, but it looks like they might actually be pulling it off. So I'm kind of curious about that one. And that song that they had, that had like the rap song in the trailer, I saw a bunch of comments where people were like, oh, this doesn't make sense for Prince of Persia. So then I looked up the song. Whether it makes sense or not, Ubisoft commissioned that song. The song in the trailer is literally from the game soundtrack, for the game soundtrack, streaming on Spotify and Apple Music as the name of the game. Like the album is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And just like with Spider-Verse, I don't know if you guys have listened to the Spider-Verse soundtrack at all, the new or seen when you listen to it, that they often put the name of the movie next. Like it'll be like, I don't know, Annihilate, parentheses, Spider-Verse, across the, Spider-Man, across the Spider-Verse. Even Prince of Persia, it's like name of the song, parentheses, Prince of Persia, Lost Crown. Like it's so cribbing on Spider-Verse, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that one I thought was kind of cool. So I'd be keeping an eye on that. It comes out in January. But then the third game that caught my eye was on the indie side. Like we talked about all the big presentations, but throughout all that, there was also like the Future Game Show. There was Wholesome Direct. There was like 2 or 3 others. And there's this kind of cool game called Resistor that anyone that follows me on Twitter, I tweeted it at the time. But it's sort of like Burnout meets Mad Max. So it's like this open world game where you can drive around and you build up a team to fight like this evil mega corporation. But it's also very like, at least in the footage we saw in the trailer, like set in kind of a post-apocalyptic deserty sort of, like it has kind of a Mad Max vibe. But then like when you do these races in the game, they're sort of race battles, and they kind of look like a mix of, again, like Burnout with sort of like the sideswipe attacks from F-Zero. Like specifically, I don't know if anyone remembers in F-Zero GX when you do that one-on-one canyon race, which was brutal for me as a kid. It took me forever to beat. But anyway, like that aesthetic of that race and how you're like kind of swiping into Goro, whatever his name was, is like very, I got that vibe immediately from this. And then like it's kind of that combined with like every over the top racer you can imagine. But then there's also on top of that, assuming they pull us all off, there's also this added layer that kind of reminds me of, anyone remember the DS game Custom Robo Arena? I'm probably the only person on earth that played that game.
Yeah, I remember.
You do? Wow. Yeah, it was from Nintendo. It was on DS. But yeah, basically the game was, it's a light RPG. You customize your robot. That's the RPG elements. There's like story elements that are plot driven. It kind of has an anime flair. But then the battles, the RPG battles, are real-time battles in like arenas. What they're describing for this game, Resistor, sounds kind of similar because you're like building a team of different cars to use. You're building out your cars with different stats to boost, and then and there's all story driven, all kind of an anime style. It all has kind of a cel shaded look, and then the battles are just these races where you're like beating up other cars as you race, sort of like in Custom Robo where you beat up other robots. So I don't know if this looks how I think it looks. Like go find a trailer, see what you think. I think it looks cool, but it's just it's kind of one of those like little sleeper games that you wouldn't expect. Like that's one of the things I really like about this time of year, whether you call it E3 or Summer Game Fest, is like there's always that one or there's always those couple games that you don't expect, don't see coming, can't go, oh, a new Prince of Persia. Oh, a new, oh, they brought back Sonic as a co-op thing. That's cool. Like, even then, it's like, oh, it's still Sonic. But this is something just out of left field that kind of caught my eye and just looks cool. So, yeah, even if they scale down E3, I'm cool with that. Yeah, so those were the three that caught my eye. But I feel like there's one more. There's one more in Little Game Corner we got to talk about. Because while there is stuff in the chamber for Switch that's maybe not from Nintendo, I rattled off a few. There are some others. I mean, all the ones Angel was talking about from Capcom. Everybody 1-2 Switch.
Oh,
so,
I only heard about that one because I saw it pop up in the outline, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, the reason you only heard about it is because here's how Nintendo announced it. Actually, let me find the tweet. They literally announced it with a tweet that doesn't have an exclamation point that's basically along the lines of like, on June 30th, you can purchase Everybody 1-2 Switch. Pre-order now. And that's like the tone of the tweet. That's not exactly what it said, but that was the tone. This thing was announced less than a month before it comes out. There's not really any information on it. The description that Nintendo has on their website is bare bones. There's no trailer. There's no screenshots. There's a piece of key art. And if that name rings a bell, Everybody 1-2 Switch, you may remember a year ago, maybe longer, there was a report that came out, and we covered it back at the time, but there's a report that came out that Nintendo's stuck with a sequel to 1-2 Switch that they don't know what to do with. The game is bad. Like, internally, it tested horribly. They thought they had something on their hands when they were developing it of like, well, 1-2 Switch used the Joy-Cons. What if, like...
They thought they were cooking.
They thought, yeah. They're like, what if you do a sequel where, like, you borrow from Jackbox, right? So, like, you can have your cell phone or a Joy-Con, and, like, you do stuff together using either of those. So you can, in theory, have up to 100 people in a room, and these could be online. So you get people, like, remotely join in. You get people not. And then they would have you do stuff like... This is what the report said from a year ago. They'd have you do fun mini games like, let me see if I can find the quote here. Mini games would ask players to physically move around the environment for things like musical chairs, or use their phone to play bingo. There was even a game that resembled a virtual version of Spin the Bottle that involved saying something nice about the other person. This was what Nintendo thought they had as a good game. Apparently, the target audience for this were kids and their parents, but even that target audience found it too boring. They didn't even want to like go through the whole process of playing it. They would like quit mid-game. Like the bingo game, for example, they had you pantomime digging a number out with the Joy-Con. Like you do like a digging motion, then a number would appear. And like people thought it was tedious and they didn't understand why they had to do it. And the article a year ago kind of left it out. Nintendo doesn't know what to do with this thing. They invested in it. They developed it. They're debating, do they throw it for free on Switch Online as like an expansion pass perk? Do they make it a full-fledged game? Do they sell it half price? And that's the last we heard about Everybody 1-2 Switch, which at the time was called Everybody's, apostrophe S, 1-2 Switch. And now, in the midst of Summer Game Fest, the one Nintendo announcement is that tweet where they just go like, yeah, Everybody 1-2 Switch will be out in about 3 weeks, and it will cost about $30. And yeah, here's some key art of a horse that hosts. And that was it. Like Nintendo's own description, they don't say anything. They don't tell you, like, what, I don't even know what this... Mix up your next get-together with the Everybody 1-2 Switch game. Grab some Joy-Con controllers or smart devices for team-based games that are easiest set up and feature everything from balloons to aliens and more. People at your next party can get moving and show off their teamwork in this multiplayer mashup. A mix of modes and games to keep you on your toes. Use Joy-Con controllers or smart devices. Split into teams. Many games have several variations. They don't describe a single minigame. That's the whole sales pitch. That's it. Nothing. Not a single game. Not a single screenshot. And they want you to buy it for $30. The most bizarre Nintendo announcement ever. And if that doesn't give me much confidence that they fixed things from a year ago. I mean, granted, maybe dropping the apostrophe S from Everybody is for the final release. Maybe they changed some stuff in the game too. But wow, is that weird. 3 weeks before release, 3.5 weeks, not a screenshot, not a trailer, just some very vague descriptions of gameplay. So I think they still should have just put it on expansion pass and cut their losses. But it is very interesting that they're releasing it. And I wonder if they were partly sitting on it because, to the point before, Switch is in its twilight years or getting there. Like, are they kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here? Is this all they got left? Like, there's rumors there might be a new Nintendo Direct any day now. I mean, of course, there's always those rumors. But, like, if that happens, do they have anything major? Can they, like, whip up, like, some quick, like, take the Link's Awakening engine and throw a Link to the Past in there and call it a remake of the Super Nintendo game? Could they make a new Super Mario Brothers 2D side-scroller? Like, there's some rumblings of that. Like, I don't know. But the fact that Everybody Want to Switch is being trotted out after testing so poorly and then being promoted so vaguely, which seems to confirm how poorly it's tested. I don't know. It's very weird, very unusual, very like late in the game of a Nintendo system's life type of move. So everyone enjoy your 1-2 Switch. Excuse me, everyone enjoy your Everybody 1-2 Switch. But yeah, that was, of all the announcements of Summer Game Fest, that one took the cake for strangest, I would say. But Angel, you bought the first one. Are you going to buy this?
Maybe. I mean, it could be fun for like a one-time party thing, and then probably like 1-2 Switch, never play it again until we find another group that hasn't played it. That's pretty much what it became. But
right.
Yeah.
At least it's half the price of 1-2 Switch. They learned that, at least. And 1-2 Switch sold like 3.5 million copies. So it's not like this is totally poor business sense, but I think the final product probably is not what they were hoping for. But yeah. Did I tell you the tweet didn't even have an exclamation mark in it? That's how unexcited even their own social media manager was for this thing. It was literally like, get the game, period. So, anyway. Not to put a damper on all this fun Summer Game Fest stuff. I mean, if we want to talk weird stuff, there's also the PlayStation Q, which I don't know what that thing is. But
one of the strangest devices I've ever seen in my entire life.
Right? It's like they kind of made the Wii U after the Wii U failed, but like they won't even. If the thing support. So in the time since it was announced, Sony did say, hey, we're starting to really invest in cloud. Hey, we're going to let you stream games on your PS5 from the cloud, like from PlayStation Premium and PlayStation Plus. Like So if this Q does let you stream directly to the device and bypass your PS5, and you can do it out in the world on any Wi-Fi network, maybe if it's cheap enough, because then that's not huge. It's just like a more comfortable version of streaming to your phone. Like instead of getting like a Backbone or whatever those controllers are, you can just get this thing, which means it has to be cheap. But if it's just for your PS5, as they're currently saying it is, who is buying that? Because you can already do that, can't you, with Remote Play onto other devices?
Yeah, and they have a partnership with Backbone, who makes like one of the best like phone controllers out there.
Yeah, and they even have a
like
PlayStation
they have a special
one.
like branded one.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
It's so strange. It really. I know there's like a running gag that PlayStation always steals Nintendo's ideas. Like, Rumble was first Nintendo, dual analog stick was first Nintendo. Obviously, the Wii remote that led to the Move. Like, there's that pattern. But I didn't think they'd take the Wii U. That one I would not have expected. But yeah, definitely a weird announcement. I think they even took from Nintendo the way of announcing it, of being very confusing in it. Because if they wanted this to be a cloud device, announce it with your cloud plans. Make it very clear. They did what Nintendo did with the Wii U, where there's like, here's this crazy new controller, and you're like, what's it for? And they're like, we'll tell you later. And then ever since, people didn't understand what it was for, even when they told you later, because that initial first impression is what matters, right? And like, Sony just didn't say. So now a bunch of people, even if they do cloud stuff, are going to be like, oh, it requires your PS5. And Sony has to like remarket how it won't require your PS5 if that ends up being the case. It just seems like, I don't know. It's so strange. I don't know what Sony's doing sometimes.
Gotta get rid of Jim Ryan.
Yeah, it seems like he may be a little misguided. Granted, it's not all him. I mean, the Japanese arm is definitely a big pusher of hardware in particular, but yeah. Anyway, that was Summer Game Fest, fun time, happy-go-lucky video game celebration. That's just something you guys wanted to add.
Are you okay? You need to get some water? You basically talked for like 30 minutes straight.
I've done it before. I don't need water, believe it or not. For me, this was just a normal conversation, one-sided and long.
Damn.
Sorry, I got a phone call from work. I think we're down to our last 3 things.
3 things?
Actually, I'm not going to kill him, but I think we should probably save Spider-Man until Angel's seen it, however long that takes.
That makes a certain amount of sense. Can we say a very quick, I have a very, very quick 2-sentence thought on it.
Sure. Same. I'll do the same.
Okay. It might be 2.5 sentences. It's going to be a run-on sentence. I love how them winning the award gave them basically the freedom to go crazy with some of their ideas, and the fact that they did that with integrating so many different art styles beyond what they did before was super cool and made it very visually striking, and it let them really sort of flex their muscle with the plot and things like that too. That's sentence 1. Sentence 2. The score for the movie was really good. The soundtrack, so overall the music was really good. The score was really, really good. The soundtrack, as I've listened to it repeatedly, is not as good as the first movie soundtrack. It's good, not as good. And I'm done. Your turn.
My turn. Loved it. Can't wait to see it in a different state of mind when it comes out of the home theater. Can't wait to see it on my TV, which you also have the same TV, so those colors are really gonna pop.
How did you see it in theaters? What format?
I saw it in IMAX. I didn't see it in Dolby Vision.
I did Dolby.
Which I wish I saw it in Dolby.
Yeah, Dolby was great. It popped.
But unfortunately, I did not see it in Dolby.
Yep.
Pop. Community, another Sony product.
Yep.
Okay. Let's spin
that
wheel.
Hey.
Look at that. Look, guys, we're ready to host an improv show.
And we are talking Severance.
What did we land on?
Kevin cut.
Severance. I mean, you guys are going to laugh on Severance, Stubby.
Angel.
Severance. So yeah, I finally got around to watching Severance. It was very unintimidating at face value because it's only 9 episodes, and for the most part, they're like 40-ish minutes, 43, 45. And yeah, it was done pretty quick, but yeah, from the first episode, it's pretty hooked. A lot of intrigue, and it just kind of keeps building and building until, it just kind of gets to its, I guess, what is called resolution, which clearly is asking for a season 2, but
it's getting a season 2.
Yeah, really enjoyed the show. Really liked Adam Scott's performance. Is that his name? Adam Scott?
Correct.
Yeah. Adam Scott portraying Ben Wyatt after Leslie Knope left him. He becomes depressed, changes his name, and moves to Under the Town. And I don't remember when the show came out because I know Jason watched it a while ago, and Kevin?
It was about a year and a half?
Yeah,
no, wait, maybe not even. It might have just been about a year ago. I think it came out April of 22.
But yeah, kind of, I mean, obviously, I'm glad I saw it when I did. It's probably when I would have appreciated it the most. But it also would have been nice to have been able to appreciate the Comic-Con experience that Jason went to, because that was that would have been cool.
It was so cool. Yeah. I'm not trying to brag. It was just like Apple, for their debut at Comic-Con, for that being their first ever stab at doing a Comic-Con thing, they killed it. The fact they flew in the set pieces.
So refresh my memory. What was it again?
Yeah. So what they did, well, first of all, that whole day was Severance, because they also had a panel with the cast and Ben Stiller and everyone. For those who don't know, Ben Stiller directs the whole series.
Yeah, that's probably the most surprising thing that ever happens in the show. Every time it cuts to black and you see Ben Stiller's name, it's like, oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, for Comic-Con, what they did is they took over a series of ballrooms in one of the hotels, I think the Hard Rock across the street from the convention center, and they basically did the whole experience like you worked at Lumen. You go in, they sever you, so they pretend that you don't know who you are on the outside, and they do the employee orientation. So you're for those who've seen the show, you're at the conference table, and they have you recite the thing in a group of 6 of you. They have you go meet the therapist. They have you go into that room where if you're punished, you're in the room and you have to read the thing. They have you go through they have you go to your desk. You sit at your desk. You play the little number matching task that they do in the show. They let you go explore the break room. You can go to the vending machine, get a snack using a token they give you. They then have a waffle party with a dance party, and they literally turn on the lights in the show, and it's a little dance party, and they have a little story that weaves this all together as to why you're getting to see all these things. And they go through almost all the plot beats. I would say all but the last episode's covered in some way. But what's really cool about it is they hired a bunch of actors to do everything. So you weren't the one being punished and reading the screen that's punished. There was someone in there, and it made it really uncomfortable because there's this person who's sweating bullets, trying to read this thing, and you're just watching a foot away from them as they're doing it. You're just oh, this is kind of weird. And they go into the therapist, and they're talking to the group of you and asking you the questions in the show, and then they hired people that look kind of like the actors in the show. So you go in, and the manager. I forgot his name, Milton, whatever. He a guy that looks kind of like him is same mustache and everything is there, and it's really well done. But what was super cool is as you go through all this, they weren't using cheap, we're building an activation for the weekend. Let's just do a pop-up event. They flew in the set pieces, the actual pieces. So the computer you're working on to do the little number thing is the one from the set. They fluid across the country. The like the hallways with the white walls from the set, the therapy room from the set, like all of it was like brought over. So that was very cool because you weren't just experiencing it; you were like on a miniature version of the set. At least that's how Ben Stiller kind of described it in the panel that same day. Because I was fortunate that I got to do it that morning and then do the panel that afternoon. So it was a very Severance-y day. Oh, and on the way out, they give you a little gift that includes the team photo that you take the team photo like in the show and you get to keep that, and they give you some other stuff. And they give you a whole employee handbook for Lumen, which I have actually sitting downstairs here. Like it's like 20-something pages. It was very cool.
Damn. Well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the cast was great. I mean, obviously, I already talked about like Adam Scott doing well. I'm blanking on the rest of the names, but you know, Irv I thought was like done really well as well as Dylan
John him, yeah, Turturro, yes,
yeah, as well as like Helly, and you know, like the twist. Like I don't think I've ever. I don't think I. It's funny because like the twists are basically as twisty as they come, but I don't think I was ever like, oh my god, that's this.
I feel like it's
even though they felt like they definitely warranted that kind of response. Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know if I was just say I don't know. I was just gonna say I don't know if you're supposed to go, oh my god, or if it's just kind of slow build of everything that then leads to how tense that final episode.
Well, because there's like 3 that I could think of that at least like I feel like they should have warranted at least some kind of like oh shit, like oh yeah, but yeah like oh like that's like I guess that's this person. You know, a lot of it is basically.
Oh,
like,
I see what you mean. Yeah, there are some of those. Yeah,
of a lot of these people,
like
you know, revelations like that you're led to believe something is going some way, but then
no, that's like, fair. There's a couple of those. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but I'm surprised I didn't really like audibly gasp at a lot of them. I know like my sister did, even though she had already seen the show by that point. But yeah, I mean, but even then, like you know, I still understood the gravity of it. If anything, it just made me go. I guess the reaction was more like, "Ooh, like where are they going with this?"
Right?
Because you know, I do want to see where they're going with this, especially with the way like the last 2 episodes ended. They, you know, very smartly, you know, they ended like right when you most want to see what happens next, and then it just ends. Like it just cuts to black.
I'm gonna say something bold about Severance because I love any excuse to talk about Severance. I know I talked about Kevin. I think Kevin, you haven't seen it, have you?
I have not seen it.
Okay,
the first episode.
Maybe I was just gushing to both of you about it when I first watched it, but I'm gonna make a bold claim. Severance is a better Black Mirror than season 6 of Black Mirror.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop you there.
Yeah. There's my bold claim. Come at me. You guys know where I live, listeners, in the general Century City area of Los Angeles. But yeah, no, honestly, like Severance, just the tone, the vibe, the aesthetic.
I mean, it's basically a premise of that. I mean, if anything, it kind of came at. I mean, maybe it's not a coincidence that it came during the whole work from home period where you're supposed to basically banish
Oh man, they talked about that at the panel. I'm trying to remember what the answer was though. They did. Someone asked or someone brought up it fits the work from home thing. I think they started the script prior to COVID, so it might have been coincidence. I'm trying to remember how they answered that, but that exact thought was a topic of the panel.
Because work-life separation is like an actual thing people do have to deal with. It's not necessarily exclusive to work home. It's just, you know, like some people take their work home with them, and sometimes like it's like, you know, you have to make sure you spend time for yourself. So. But it became, I feel, much more of a mental health issue when work from home started because some people's, let's say, like work desk suddenly also became like where they also relax and just use their computer. So it's like turn off one PC and then same monitor is now playing their video games.
Yeah.
Or you know, like, or you get out of bed and like literally like right in front of you is like your workstation. Like, you know, over time that could really mess some people up.
Honestly, that was a huge thing because as our longer time listeners know, I moved into my apartment during the pandemic, like November of 2020. It's like peak pandemic. And yeah, that was a huge thing is needing to have a separate room where it could be like work and you can like isolate it to that room. So like we got like a 2-bedroom specifically. So we have an office where it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to walk out of here now. I have no need to be here anymore. Because otherwise, it's tough when you're constantly your same spaces for everything. I agree with you.
Yeah. And, you know, definitely after this, definitely gonna finish watching Ted Lasso, and I think that's all the Apple shows I felt I needed to watch. Hopefully, you know, it'll let it be ready when it's ready, but obviously now very much anticipating the second season of Severance. Definitely feels like the kind of show that's only going to have 2 or 3 seasons.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It feels like, and I ideally wouldn't want it to be any more than that, because it feels like a show that the tighter knit the story is, the better, versus, like almost kind of like A Good Place. A Good Place felt like it was very close to like feeling like, oh, it's just kind of going now. But I
They
love
cut
that show.
it
I think,
just at the cusp of it spinning its wheels. I agree.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it definitely felt like they exhausted everything, and this one already feels like they're kind of like starting to show or like exhaust a lot of things. Not that anything's getting tired yet, but it's like, okay, you can't really go from here beyond like, oh, now there's another corporation doing this
Yeah,
again, and
they have to do world building of like almost like backstory more than anything else at this point. Yeah. But I'm going bold claim number 2 I'm going to make. I know Ted Lasso is like the darling of Apple TV, and I do like to like season 3 had some really good episodes and some weaker ones, but overall I do like Ted Lasso a lot. But yeah, no, Severance is the flagship Apple TV show in my mind.
So these both claims are hot takes.
Both bold hot takes, piping hot like the earlier today when I was making dinner, I managed to splash hot oil on my arm, and I have a little burn on my arm. So that's how hot the takes are. As hot as the thing that burned my arm. Yep.
But yeah,
Cool.
it's pretty much all I really have to say about Severance. Just surprised it was. I guess surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did. If you follow me on Instagram, the drawing I am doing tomorrow is kind of like a little tribute to Severance, because I did enjoy it that much.
And if you follow me on Twitter, the tweet a few weeks ago of a photo of a keyboard that looks like the one on Severance is courtesy of Kevin, who gave me an awesome gift of a custom keyboard. And at the same time, Angel, you gave me an awesome gift of like these anthology books about N64 and GameCube eras that have like every game, every sales number, every chart. Like it, yeah, you guys know me well. But yes, Severance. And thank you for the gifts, guys. Was really what I was getting at with that.
Nice. So, with that, let us spin the wheel with only one thing on the wheel. I wait until it's completely done.
Oh, no one else said it. Why did none of us say it with
Slayer.
you?
No, it's fine. Demon Slayer. What was the name of this arc?
The Swordsmith Village? Or
Swordsmith Village, yeah.
Something like that?
If that was the indication of what I thought about the season, I don't know what is. The fact that I forgot its name. Demon Slayer Season 3, Swordsmith Village arc. 11 episodes long. First episode was an hour long. Last episode was an hour long. 11 episodes in total. Angel, what did you think?
Overall, I enjoyed it. It didn't feel as bombastic as the last season, but I guess there was more, I guess I would say, like, major character progressions or major, like, plot developments outside of, like, let's just kill the next ranked demon. Like, it felt like it was kind of nice getting more backstory into the whole, like, swordsmith stuff. It was kind of interesting seeing more into the character of the guy that is always getting mad at Tanjiro for breaking his swords. And, and obviously the way it ended felt kind of like, oh, things are going to be really moving, maybe. But other than that, and we were kind of talking about this, I think it was in our outing, but yeah, like the setting, at least compared to the last one, and definitely you could tell in just the intro, because, damn, like, they're just kind of in the woods. Not that the woods are bad, but like, I don't know, like even the main demon, like the fourth rank one, like besides the scaredy one, like he didn't feel like as big. I guess neither of them alone felt like as big of a threat as the one from the last season, even though they're
Number
both
6.
higher ranked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about them, like I guess at least until they combine into, you fight your wooden chimera dragon thing. Like before that, they just felt kind of like just strong demons. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah, there's a lot of mixed things about it. Creative designs, but yeah, like it was also nice getting some more backstory into Genya, because I thought he was just like really angry dude that was just going to be another Bakugo. Your angry dude that was basically borderline evil from My Hero Academia. But then it's like, oh, he's not that bad of a guy. But
no, not at all.
Yeah, like I think I kind of liked them by the end. But yeah, same thing with the Mist Hashira. But Yeah, I don't
Like, you
know.
know?
It's like I enjoy. It's like I enjoyed the season, but I wouldn't say like I loved it. But it did have some moments. I will give it that it did have some moments that made me go like, it's like, oh yeah, this is why I love Demon Slayer. But yeah, maybe just like some of the emotional stuff with the Mist dude and his brother thing and that that did kind of get to me. But
Yeah.
yeah, what about you, Kev?
Um, I I liked it. This is very easily the weakest season of Demon Slayer, in my opinion. I liked the Hashiras, which was Tokito and Mitsugi or Mitsuru, the love Hashira. But I think the season was for me a death by 1,000 cuts, where first the location like couldn't hold a candle to Entertainment District arc. Well, just overall, this entire season had a lot to live up to because the Entertainment District arc was, it was my favorite anime of last year or 2 years ago. I forgot what Quarantinis that got best anime for me. But that season just was pure undistilled hype, like every episode. Once the action got going, and there was multiple times where the action started in this season, and I was just bored. For just for transparency's sake, I saw pretty much episodes 4 through 11 all last night with your brother.
Jesus,
Yeah,
I saw them once.
How many hours does that translate to?
that what we started, I think at 11, we ended at 3
Wow. Okay.
because
To be
that last
fair, though, and maybe this kind of hurts it. One thing about I think there was one week where I fell behind and had to watch 2 episodes back to back. I don't know if it feels like anime in general is not really a great thing to binge watch, or you have to make sure you do a lot of manual skipping. Because Jesus, like, is there a lot of like recapping and basically new content per episode, especially in the
that's
middle of a
funny
fight? It's like you have like a slow mo sword attack about to hit someone, flashback to something that happened earlier. Or,
this season, yeah, was
yeah, maybe it was this season in particular, but I felt like things kept getting halted a lot.
yeah, like at the, I guess spoilers for the season of Demon Slayer, but at the final episode where Tanjiro goes in for the kill on the upper rank 4, literally the split second right before he cuts off his head, we get a flashback into that demon's past. And that was maybe about like 5 to like 7 minutes about this demon that's just going to die. That it's not like with the Entertainment District arc when they took out Gyatoro and Daki, where these characters these villains you felt sympathetic for, as they were dying. Here, Tanjiro just straight up, I think the line is, "You will pay for your sins with your life." So at that point, I don't know why I have to see a background on this character that I do not like.
We didn't even get one for the other dude.
Likes.
For the
Yeah,
man.
and then upper rank 5 didn't even get a backstory, and he was dispatched pretty easily. I think the biggest sin of this season is just that the villains weren't intimidating the way that upper rank 6 was.
Yeah,
And then like just the final battle in general, Mitsuru kind of did nothing. The love Hashira, she kind of was just a distraction, and yeah, it's very much a big step down from the Entertainment District arc, which was just this bombastic, just visual masterpiece of a season. I do like what the season did set up, especially with Nezuko, and especially with Genya. Like Genya got like a really really good backstory. That he got like a lot of character growth, and it kind of sucks that we just don't see that from Tanjiro. I don't know if Tanjiro has grown as a character across all these 3 seasons.
Yeah, good point. He's still the same kind of person. I guess he's just gotten a little angrier. That's about it.
Right.
I like to think.
And that moment in the last episode where Nezuko kicks him away so that he could save those 3 random swordsmiths. I feel like it was a great moment for Nezuko. It showed some development for her, but I kind of almost wanted Tanjiro to go back for her and possibly let those swordsmiths get killed, and then that would at least provide some more inner conflict and provide some development for the future. But nope, he got to win at the end by saving the swordsmith, and nothing happened to Nezuko, which we still don't know exactly why she survived being in the sun. I'm sure this show will pull off some BS.
Yeah, I
I
thought that
just
Sandra with injured leg would play more into it. Like it kind of did, but kind of not really. It's like, at first I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna use thunder breathing to circumvent having his broken leg. But then it felt like half the time when he was running, I was like, I feel like he shouldn't be running. But I guess, yeah, no, that was a little weird. But
yeah, I thought the CG this season was okay. Like I didn't, I was never mad at it. The way that a lot of people on the internet apparently were. Did that take you aback?
it I feel like it stood out more for sure. I think it was fun for me with the dragons. The fish monsters were mainly especially the little ones that kind of made me feel like, huh. But I wouldn't say, yeah, but I wouldn't say it bothered me. But yeah, I guess it stood out for sure. But
yeah, this season was still enjoyable. Yeah, definitely the weakest season. I think the next arc, which they announced, the Hashira training arc, apparently is very low on people's ranking of tiers, ranking of arcs, and so after this one, I can only imagine how that one will go. But the arc right after that, which is, I think the second to last arc, is what people consider the best arc of this series. And like I know the setting where that one takes place, and it's just that season I can't wait for. That season's gonna be really, really cool. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get that season 2 years after this next one that we're gonna see. Just on the amount of things that they're gonna have to animate.
Hiatus of sorts like Attack on Titan.
Yeah, probably like a 2-year hiatus. I wouldn't be surprised.
Damn. Well, if it means quality, then that's fine. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'll rewatch
the show
it
has always
at
been
one
quality.
point.
Yeah,
But
I do think that for me watching this, binging this was actually made it better because I couldn't imagine going through those flashbacks in the episodes where almost like nothing happens would probably kill me.
yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But because on one hand, I feel like sometimes so much happens during the week that I kind of need the recaps just to kind of remind myself what was going on. So sometimes those recaps are appreciated. But yeah, but I guess when I'm binging it, yeah, they do just feel annoying. So it's kind of like I don't want them. Like, give me less of them, but at the same time, I do sometimes find value in them. But yeah, I guess it depends. If the fight was really, really, really interesting, then they probably would have annoyed me more. But, oh, wait, no, they would have annoyed me less? No, more. Yeah, more, because I wouldn't want the fight to get interrupted. But since the fights were,
very scattershot.
Yeah, they definitely got kind of annoying, even if I did need that recap. But, yeah, Demon Slayer. I guess just to kind of throw in My Hero in there like super quick. Did finally catch up to it after, I guess, starting it when we did our first episode of the
back in December or whatever. Yeah.
I think that
yeah.
Separate, yeah.
And it had some highs, then it had like a little slow period, and then towards the end, like it just got me hooked again, and it made me just really like Deku again. Because I'm typically like the protagonist usually ends up being my favorite character. Like Tanjiro, I would say, is my favorite character, and this one definitely reminded me why Deku was my favorite character. Except I almost like Deku more than Tanjiro now. He almost felt like he has more. He feels a little more.
He has character development.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Like not only is he a kind boy, but he actually goes through some stuff.
Yeah. It's like Tanjiro needs more trauma than just the fact that it sounds horrible to say or kind of weird to say, but like he obviously lost his whole family in one night. But that's kind of
almost like he hasn't processed it.
But that's all he's gone through, and it seems like that's still the only thing really bothering him. But like Deku is going through stuff all the time because he's really embodying he's not just a kind person, but he's like trying to live his life that way, but he's always been confronted with things that make that hard. But
did that episode of Deku versus his classmates, did that get you emotional?
Actually I did a little bit. Yeah, I think towards the end, some of those kind words were like, "Aw," like yeah. I damn, I'm trying to remember I shed a tear. It might have gotten watery-eyed, but it was pretty cool.
The part that almost broke me was where, who was it? It was crap. It's been so long. I already forgot their names. Well, it was Bakugo.
Oh yeah, damn it.
Half hot, half ice. What was his name? I already forgot.
Damn, oh wow.
F gold.
I wish I knew. I used to know his name.
He's a big character. Oh, Todoroki.
Todoroki, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just launch up a huge ramp.
Yeah,
and
that was
then
pretty
Todoroki falls, and then you have that inside talk that Bakugo has, like, I still have stuff to say to you, and it's revealed that all this time they had Ida with them.
cool. Yeah.
I think that part almost like broke me. Once it was like slowly revealed that Ida was in there, and like how Ida sort of like is always like looking up to Deku and wants to catch up to him, because not since season 2 have we really had any
the whole thing.
Ida stuff. Yeah. So
actually,
I think that part was really close to closing me.
Yeah, you're right. That with like Bakugo's like apology / like confession, like that actually did get to me. I do remember that part actually making me like damn, like this is really good. I was like, damn, like I freaking love the show now. Or it kind of it brought me full on back, because there was that point where I kind of remember feeling like I was mainly watching it because I never disliked it, but it was just kind of like it just felt like weird like junk food. Like I'm enjoying it just enough to keep going, but I'm not really super hooked. But I feel like a lot of stuff in this last season,
it was definitely spinning its wheels a little bit with season 4 and 5. I would say.
Yeah, that's definitely how I felt. Like it just felt like just sunk cost fallacy.
It brought it back to like great status, in my opinion. That season.
And I can't wait for what happens next. You said there's just like 2 more arcs, 1 more arc, just the final war.
Yeah, there's 2 more arcs. There's enough content in the manga currently to supply like 2 more seasons.
Damn. Well,
yeah, and it's wild, the stuff that's going on right now in the manga, because I keep up with it.
Well, I'm sure we'll
just
see
nothing but like fights, and they keep getting bigger and bigger in scale.
I'm sure I'll see something about it at Anime Expo in 2 weeks.
Where you'll see DJ Diesel.
Yeah. If like you would have told me earlier this season that I would have liked the new season of My Hero versus the new season of
Demon
Slayer, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. But it is what it is. Yeah. We'll see how the next anime season goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have nothing left to spin on the wheel, Jason. If you want to take us out,
sure. Thanks for playing Spin That Wheel, everybody. That does it for this episode. As I mentioned halfway through the episode, if you're still here listening but you somehow missed it there, we are doing a giveaway on our Twitter account at Ram Nintendo, which is also a great place to make sure you don't miss our future episodes. But we are giving away a digital copy of the Super Mario Brothers movie. So for your chance to win, keep an eye out for a special tweet. Make sure to follow so you don't miss that tweet. And then all you got to do is retweet the tweet. Simple enough. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that in the near future. Otherwise, in terms of housekeeping, the only thing I'd love to say is make sure to follow or subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice so you don't miss any episodes. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora. We're also on YouTube at Random Nintendo. And again, that's also our Twitter handle at Random Nintendo. Speaking of Twitter, individually, you can find us on Twitter. I am JSR7. Kevin is KVN Gomi. Angel is Wero, WEIRO _ but he doesn't use it as much as he does his World of Wero, no underscore O, on, actually, Angel, is it World of Wero or Wero's plural? It's plural, isn't it?
Plural.
Okay, so I'm going to spell the whole thing. WORLDOVWEIROS. And that's where you can see his thoughts through art as he draws them now. And that does it.
Like I mentioned, tomorrow will be a Severance.
This is how does it this episode has become. My AirPod died while while I was saying the goodbyes, so I'm going to mute myself. And Kevin, you got final word.
Oh crap! I don't. I get my surgery done this week, so hopefully I don't sound congested in future pods. Later.